The Runaway Iceberg, a Twinkl original story. Here I am with my two lovely friends, the penguins, Rosie and Gasper. So the story today is about these two friends who lived in a very, very cold South Pole in Antarctica. This is where the penguins live. And it's very, very cold. Brrr. And I'm cold too, so I have wrapped up really well to read this story now for you. The Runaway Iceberg. I wonder what is going to happen with our little friends. Land ahoy! Shouted Rosie, looking out to sea with her telescope. Shall we dive in and explore, Captain? You know I don't like swimming, Gasper said with a sigh. Suddenly, a cracking sound came from below them. Before they had realized what was happening, a chunk of ice had broken off and Gasper and Rossi were floating out to sea with an iceberg. Quick, swim! Shouted Rossi. But Gasper was afraid. I can't, he cried, peering onto the deep, dark sea below. I wonder whether you can swim. The iceberg floated out further and further until they could no longer see land. What are we going to do? Asked Gasper, trembling. How we can ever get back? We are explorers, remember, said Rosie, holding his flippers. We will find a way. Gasper took a deep breath. I guess we could use our flippers to row back, he said. But which way is home? Lift me up, said Rosie. She climbed onto Gasper's head, but she was still not high enough to see land. Try jumping, she suggested, giving him a little nudge with her foot. Gasper jumped. What do you think is going to happen? And they both landed on the ice with a third. Gasper is not very happy, is he? Need some help flying your way? Asked a snow petrel from above. Oh, yes, please, called Gasper. Which way is land? It's this way, called the snow petrel, flying high above them. Rosie used his flippers to row as hard as she could, but the current kept pushing them away. Need us to give you a push? Asked an Atlantic silverfish from below. Oh, yes, please, called Gasper. The silverfish pushed the iceberg along until suddenly it became stuck. We would never get through here, exclaimed Gasper. Need some help breaking through the ice? Asked a blue whale from the deep. Oh, yes, please, called Gasper. With a huge flip of its tail, the whale smashed the ice and cleared the way. Gasper and Rossi bobbed along behind it, glad to finally be on their way back to safety. Land ahoy! Squeaked the snow petrel. It's all been a great adventure, said Rosie, grinning. We're just like real explorers. The sun shone brightly on the sky as Gasper and Rosie headed back home. Hey, stick to your side, Captain, laughed Rosie as Gasper's tail feathers tickled her feet. I am right on the edge, grumbled Gasper. The two penguins were face to face with each other, in shock. The iceberg was getting smaller and smaller. It's melting, shrieked Gasper. We need to move faster. The silverfish swam quicker, and the blue whale helped to push. The ice was melting too fast. We will have to swim from here, said Rosie. You can do this, Gasper. I know you can. You were the captain after all. The silverfish started to cheer. Gasper, Gasper, Gasper. Soon everyone had joined in and Gasper began to feel braver. Gasper gulped. Then, with one big jump, he splashed onto the water. Brrr, he spluttered. It's so chilly. Use your flippers, shouted Rosie as she dived in with Gasper's head. Whee! Said Rosie as she headed for home. Gasper flapped his flippers and followed nervously behind. It wasn't long before Rosie and Gasper were back home with their families. You did it, Captain, said Rosie. You got us through our most dangerous adventure yet. I guess I did, agreed Gasper, feeling proud. But I couldn't have done it without my trusty first mate. And that is the end of the story of our two little friends, Gasper and Rosie. I hope that you enjoyed it and come again for another story very soon. Goodbye.